We're now rejoined by one final time this evening by our esteemed experts here, Steve East, economist, and Saruhan Hatipoglu, a consultant of worldwide issues, really. And Jen brings up a really good point, is that China is a place where everyone is interested in. We all want to know what's happening there. We all know what's going to happen next. But at the same time, investors, there's no way around it. They're concerned. What's one to do? Vis-a-vis
China, I think you have to be very careful. They're going through an adjustment period from, as you just mentioned, to more domestic consumption-led versus export-led. I think it's going to be difficult to do. So I think you need to be very careful with China.
Saruhan, the business leaders that you talk to, do they feel good about what's happening in Asia and China?
No, not really. China is slowing down. I think everybody's accepting that now. The question is still whether it's going to be a soft landing or a hard landing. I'm still astounded by the IMF forecast, so I have to say that here. They're still saying 7.8% growth in China. That's not going to happen. We're looking at export growth having slowed. Currency appreciation is hitting the exports. Industrial production is going down. So Beri has lowered GDP growth estimate for China to 6.8 to 7% for the year. And that is not good news for China and emerging markets in general.
As we look around the world, we've gone through countries that are sort of beat expectations, if you will, and countries that haven't beat expectations. And does it surprise you that the ones that have beat expectations are the ones we've kind of were very worried about before the prior year, and the ones that haven't beat expectations were the ones that were doing just wonderful the year before? It seems it's getting harder and harder to predict which countries do well which year. Am I wrong about this?
Well, I think it depends on how much time you have every day to pay attention to what's going on. You could have seen the rebound coming in in Japan, last fall with the poll numbers for who was going to become the next prime minister, because Abe told you what he was going to do, and he was going to, basically influence the Bank of Japan to do a big quantitative easing and investors like that. So I think it really depends on how much time you have to pay attention to all this. For the average person, it is getting harder.
It's not easy.
It certainly is getting harder. I mean, look at all the data that we're looking at. Some are good, some are bad. But to make a forecast about the rest of the year in 2014, Phil, I think if we were to put all the economies in one room, and the ones that could have an impact on global growth, I would probably say the U.S. would be the healthiest looking sick kid in the classroom.
All right, I'm going to give you guys each one shot at this. I'll give you a moment to think about it. But I want to ask you, what do you think will be the biggest surprise over the next 6 to 9 months? So basically all the way until the end of the year and into the beginning of next year. We know about China, we know about Japan, we've just spent an hour in all these countries. But what country do you think will be the surprise country on the upside or downside? Steve?
I won't pick a country. I'm very worried about what happens to Europe after the German elections. So I would say look for a downside surprise in the Eurozone, to treat that as one country.
Sorry,
I have to give the same answer. Steve took it away from me. But the biggest surprise for me would be the Eurozone leaders coming together and agreeing about austerity measures and what it meant, because this is what killed the Eurozone economy, this fixation of austerity measures. The economic growth is nowhere seen there. It's 0.8 to 1% contraction.
So we're going to basically end the year, guys, on what we started the year with, which was worried about what's going to happen in Europe.
It hasn't been fixed yet.
And emerging markets are also losing steam. That's something to be concerned about.
I'm sorry to say that concludes our 1 hour special. Steve East, economist, thank you very much for joining us. Likewise, Saruhan Hatipoglu, thank you very much.